Hey, everybody, welcome to the real United States and welcome to the latest update. I think this is going to be number 9. I don't have my headphones on, so I don't know quite how this sounds. Everybody tells me that I sound quite normal, quite clear. Obviously, inside of my head here, it sounds quite a bit different to me. It sounds very much like Daffy Duck to me. So, and that is, of course, due to the obturator, which is the prosthesis that I now have in the roof of my mouth and side of my mouth, versus the bone that was in there. So, anyway, I hope you could understand me. I think it's at least more clear than it was, and I am practicing ever so diligently. I did have some incredibly good news, by the way, folks. In the cancer surgery, there is a sensory nerve here that was destroyed. The cancer destroyed it, and it had to be removed. However, I found out that the motor nerve, the nerve that actually makes things move, is still intact. So, in the not too distant future, meaning probably sometime after the first of the year, when they begin rebuilding my face, I should regain motor control of this half of my mouth much better than I have now. And of course, they're going to make some provisions to shorten this muscle so that my mouth is more even. I realize this is the first post-operative episode I have done without a mask or an eye patch. And I guess I figured it was either I'd gotten used to it enough or it was just time to level with you. This is what it looks like. You can see my right eye here is a little googly. Yes, I can see you out of it. Looking at you right there. And it functions. It's fine. I get a little bit of double vision because my eyes are not quite pointing exactly together, but they're trying to pull back, and largely I can see okay. And then lastly, of course, the small hole that you see, the little dark spot in along the bridge of my nose, which I find somewhat embarrassing, but I guess it's not hugely unsightly. If I was an attractive young lady, I'm certainly it would be significantly more disconcerting than it is for me. Everybody's been very forgiving about it. Anyway, I'm feeling good. I had been suffering a lot of weakness after getting out of the hospital. Just very, very weak. Tired, but just weak, couldn't hardly lift myself, and I didn't understand why. Well, I went to see one of my many physicians, and he said something about anemia, and which is a low blood count, and I'm like, what? And as we very briefly talked, it occurred to me very rapidly that in the course of my third surgery, I lost quite a bit of blood. So my blood count went from like 15 to 8. Now, what those numbers mean, I'm not even certain, but the point is that the amount of red blood cells I have roughly got cut in half. So all of this, these erythrocytes, these red blood cells, are what carry nutrients to the cells, or what carry oxygen to the cells. They're the things that make the cells work. And with only half as many, that made more sense. So I was able to understand then why when I got out of the hospital, it's like I was in a wheelchair. We're looking at about 2.5 weeks later now since I've been out of the hospital. And I am able to stand on my own. I am able to sit on my own. I am able to walk without the aid of a cane or a walker. I did have a walker for a few days. I can walk. Well, by recent events, pretty damn near a mile in the course of a day. So a remarkable amount of accomplishment, I think, for 2.5 weeks, from being in a wheelchair to being able to walk nearly a mile, if not contiguously, at least a mile in the course of a day. I can walk easily over a quarter of a mile contiguously, one continuous walk, without having to stop and rest. I could not climb more than one stair. In the last few days, I now can climb and descend 8 steps. I haven't tried more than that because that's how many we have where we are. So I'm able to climb those easily. So I'm feeling much better, getting much stronger. I know a lot of you have been wondering, how we were doing. Bev's doing fine. I think she's very relieved. You got to realize that your spouse sort of becomes your de facto caretaker. And you've seen the two of us together. I'm significantly physically larger than Miss Beverly. So just being able to stand and sit and walk and roll over and go to the toilet and take a shower by myself has been a huge, I think, relief to her. She's back there nodding. Oh, yeah. Because she couldn't have done it. I would have been in physical therapy of some kind. So we got very lucky on that. Although, again, I've worked very, very hard. And she has worked with me, by the way. I go out and I walk every single day. Well, there for a while at first it was, I'd walk a few, as far as I could and then take a day off. I was walking every other day. As soon as I was able to, I started walking every day, which is now the case, sometimes multiple times a day. So I've been pushing, let's do a few more steps, let's do another, few minutes, whatever. So for all of you who told me, stay strong and fight, I'm doing what you told me to do. Okay, I'm staying strong and I'm fighting with everything I got, and it's working. I'm getting stronger. We have not begun the radiation therapy yet. I meet with my radiation oncologist this coming Friday, and it'll probably be sometime the week after before they actually start the radiation treatment. And I asked my reconstructive surgeon about the effects of this. He said, well, Paul, I know you're a straight shooter and you don't like it sugar-coated, so I'm going to tell you, yeah, you're going to have fatigue, that's true. You're going to get sunburned on the one side of your head, and you're going to get some ulcers on the inside of your mouth. And I said, okay, all right, ulcers, they're probably going to be painful. Yeah, probably. So I'm looking at, that's probably going to be the worst of it. As far as I know, there's no hair loss associated with radiation therapy of the type that I'm getting anyway. Not that I'm so vain that I would care if my hair fell out. It'll grow back. I'm sorry I look a little bedraggled. The last surgery, the fourth surgery, left me with a very, very sensitive wound here on my head. You can probably kind of see it there.
Yes.
And it's... So I'm going to be honest with you folks. I avoid shampooing my hair except every third day or so because it hurts like a bitch. Okay? I mean, just laying my head down at night hurts like a bitch. So I'm sorry if I look a little bedraggled, but I put on a clean shirt and at least brush out my hair to the best of my ability to try and look presentable. My last time you saw me on camera, there was a big gauze bandage right here. This little divot right here was a hole about a half an inch in diameter. where a tracheotomy tube was in, where they were keeping me alive. It has completely healed, and that's all done. The incisions on my legs are largely healed. The last drain was removed. Hoo-hoo, because that thing was a pain in the ass. So I'm doing very, very well. And I'm getting a little stronger. Obviously, there will be a period. You're going to see me, now be pretty good and better and better and better. And then sometime around the beginning of November, you're going to start seeing me look like shit. And you're going to be like, oh, God, no, he's getting sick again. Yes, from the radiation. It's going to kick my ass, not the cancer. We've beaten the cancer. And the radiation is largely a preventative measure to make sure that we didn't miss one or two stray cells so it doesn't come back. But fear not, when you see that, and I'll remind you of that, of course, that I'm doing strong. It's just the treatment takes a bit out of you. I have had to relearn quite a few things that most of us learn at about age 18 months. Like how to get food into your mouth and keep it there without it, rolling back out. Most of us don't remember that period of our life. I certainly don't. Due to the paralysis here, and this is still very swollen, well, let's just say I'm very glad that I have a very forgiving wife and very forgiving friends. I have a good friend, Rick Katz, that I go to lunch with quite regularly. He's been very, very kind and very nice. And so when I start to dribble out this side of my pie hole, he'll be like, and I can wipe it up so I don't humiliate myself in public. I'm trying to learn to use this prosthesis, this obturator. And, when I left the hospital, they wanted to see if I could eat Jell-O and pudding or drink a cup of water without, aspirating and dying. And I pulled it off, and they patted me on the head and said, bye-bye. So I was on, instead of a clear liquid, I was on a whole liquid diet. Well, no one has given me any real direction or advice since then, since I'm not under the guidance of a physical therapist or a nutritionist or anything. And so I have had to slowly experiment with more and more substantive foods. I started with some creamy things like hummus, and it was, again, like giving an 18-month-old baby food. It kept kind of squirting out, but I got most of it down, and Beverly was very, very kind. And some tzatziki. Yeah, that went okay, and we kept working a little bit more. I managed to get some chicken nuggets down one day. That was a big thing because that's quite solid. But most of my diet has been a high protein shake, basically, with a whey powder, a chocolate flavored whey powder. Peanut butter, actual peanut butter, out of the jar, a big ass bunch of it, and milk. A very high protein, high caloric thing. Despite that, depending on where you start counting from, I have lost no less than 31 pounds, and again, it could be as much as 40 pounds. In the last 5 or 6 weeks. Because, I weighed in this morning at 269 pounds and change. 269.3, I believe. And at one point, we were in the doctor's office before the surgery, and I'm pretty sure it said 310. So... That's 40 plus pounds by our reckoning. I've gone down one full shirt size, one full pant size. Yes, that's relatively quick to lose that much weight. However, I have been exerting a lot of energy to exercise. I've been being very mindful of my diet. Is high protein, almost no fat. I mean, very, very. The milk has got some fat in it, of course, but almost no processed sugar. Very, very lean diet with a lot of exercise. You're going to lose weight pretty fast. Plus, my body's trying to recoup that blood and rebuild the blood, so it's metabolizing some of its reserves to do that. But I feel good, and it's also made it a lot easier for me to be able to stand and walk and do these things. Let's see what else has happened that might be of interest to you. Oh, I returned to work, my regular day job. This is Saturday. I returned 2 days ago on Thursday. Everybody was thrilled to see me. They were, however, a little surprised that only 4 weeks and 2 days after 4 major surgeries that I was able to return to work and function on a reasonably professional level. So I'm back in the saddle and should be able to remain there, of course, depending on how little or how much the radiation affects me, but we'll take that when we get to it. For now, certainly for the next month, roughly the next 4 weeks or so, I should be able to function just fine at work. So I'm out there earning a living and contributing to the society and doing what I do, folks. That also makes me feel good. It gets life back to normal. I think it's helping me start to get my sleep patterns back, which were very, very screwed up. If you've ever had the pleasure of staying in a hospital, you know it can screw up your sleep patterns very rapidly when they come in every 2 hours to stab you in some method or other, either with a needle or with a finger prick, or as George Carlin said, you can prick your finger, but you can't finger your prick. Anyway. Good old George. We miss you, George. So, yeah, it really messed up my sleep pattern. So getting back to the normalcy of life and having this schedule, okay, I got to get to work at this time, and I come home at this time, and I eat this, is helping to restore my sleep pattern. So that's been nice. Oh, dear, I don't know. We made an attempt. I don't know if you noticed or not from the last video. I was getting kind of overgrown here, all like Sasquatch kind of thing going on. We managed to take the trimmer and trim the neck. It's not shaven after trimming because there's a wound here you can maybe see partially. The staples have been removed from this, but I'm reluctant to try and shave with a blade over that area just yet. So you may have to live with this kind of high plains drifter thing going on for a little while. We did take the trimmer and trim the rest of me up to make it look more normal. And so we're and my eyebrows, which were starting to look very much like Gene Shalit's. We're trying to beat all these little things back as I get back into my regular routine of work and videos and just life. So, but I feel good, folks. I feel good. I feel good about the future. I gotta tell you, I will admit now, when I first started trying to speak, and even, in the last video and the video before, you go back and look at those, I want to tell you, if you listen to those, I listened to them, and I figured, guess what, Paul? Your YouTube career is over. You're done, buddy. Ain't nobody wants to listen to that. And I don't even really know how this is going to sound until I put it in the can. But I know it sounds a lot better than those did. And the surgeons have told me that they can pull this up and push the eye back together, and they're going to cut me here, and they're bringing it down and plug that hole. And so I should look more presentable, but mostly I should sound more like what you've become accustomed to. And that, along with the fact that I'm going to practice very hard to be able to speak clearly, and maybe we'll get a speech therapist, speech pathologist, whatever, at some point to help me. But it looks as though I may have one more ride in me. So maybe my YouTube career is not over. We're going to give it one hell of a go. We're going to fight for it, folks. So I certainly appreciate everyone sticking with us. I'm sorry it's been so long trying to get to this. I've been just very, very fatigued. And with trying to get back to work and just trying to walk from the parking structure to the office and back. At the end of the night, I get home from work, I'm like, I don't want to make a video. So, I don't know. I mean, I am having some difficulties. There's swelling going on right here that's kind of clamping down the side of my mouth. And this prosthesis that I'm supposed to take out every night is becoming increasingly difficult to get in and out of my mouth. And I may be stuck with it in there for a few days until I can see the oral surgeon. But better have it stuck in than out, because at least then I can take sustenance and fluid and stay alive. So whereas with it out, I anything that goes in comes right back out my nose, I'm told. I haven't tried that yet because it sounds pretty nasty. So, but outside of this swelling, I feel pretty good. I mean, a little discomfort, but no serious amounts of pain. And that, I think, is everything. So thanks for hanging in there. I'm hoping that we're going to get back sometime soon to making regular episodes, the kind that most of you came here originally to see, that we'll get back out in the field and start telling you about all the people, places, and things that make up the real United States, and that is certainly my goal. And so be watching for that. Thanks so much, everybody, for sticking with us. It's really been very kind of you. You got comments? Please leave them in the comment section below. I love hearing from all of you. I genuinely do. It gives me great strength and great joy. If you're new here, welcome. Please consider clicking subscribe and coming along for the adventure, because whether it's this studio work or whether it's out in the field, I guarantee you we got lots more to show you. And as always, folks, thank you for watching.